All right. I think we are live. Welcome everyone to today's live stream with Akash and Filebase, highlighting some of our recent hackathon winners. My name is Adam Mosney and I head up community at Akash. I'll also be your MC for today's conversation with our winners and some of the folks from Akash and Filebase. I want to thank you all for coming. This is the first live stream we've done in a while, but I think you're in store for a treat. So thank you guys for jumping in and joining today. So quick run of show. We're going to introduce some of the folks from Filebase and Akash, some of the judges. Then we're going to get into the hackathon winners. We're going to let them talk about themselves, talk about where they came up with the idea for their projects, some of the roadblocks that they faced, and then hopefully teaching you guys some things you can learn along the way as you deploy with Filebase and Akash. Before we get into all that stuff, though, I want to introduce our guests for today. First up, we're going to introduce Zach Cohen from Filebase. So Zach, feel free to introduce yourself and let us know what's going on over at Filebase.
Happy Friday, everybody. Hey, Adam. Thank you for setting this up, and appreciate everybody tuning in all over the world, hopefully. So we're excited to spend some time with you today to walk through the Filebase and Akash Hackathon. Filebase, from a high level, is decentralized object storage. So similar to Amazon S3, we present an S3 compatible interface for decentralized storage. We're a multi-cloud provider, so we support today the Saya, Skynet, and the storage ecosystem. We're adding support for things like IPFS and Filecoin soon. And basically, you come to Filebase, you're presented with an S3 compatible interface, just like Amazon or Wasabi or Backblaze, DigitalOcean, and you can choose the underlying storage network to put your data on today. And so we are very excited about our partnership with Akash. Akash is obviously decentralized compute. Filebase is decentralized storage. And we really think that this is an impactful, powerful combination of the two together. And so we would love for people to try out the service. We offer 5 gigabytes of free cloud storage. You can use the Akash code for your first terabyte of storage on us. And we're excited to spend some time to talk a little bit about the hackathon, because we had probably one of the most successful hackathons we've had and some really impactful participants and projects. So excited to hear some feedback, questions. You can reach us on Discord at Filebase. We're in the process of launching a Discord. We have a Twitter at Filebase, and you can always reach us at hello@filebase.com.
Cool. Thank you so much, Zach. Yeah, so many channels to follow in crypto, right? But this is definitely one you want to follow is Filebase. So check those channels out. Next up, I want to introduce Eric Zietlow, the Director of Developer Relations here at Akash. So Eric, yeah, feel free to introduce yourself and let us know some of the things happening at Akash.
Yeah, absolutely. So as Adam said, I'm the Director of Developer Relations over here at Akash. Basically what that means is I'm the person who cares about kind of user journey, developer journey, the actual usability of the product. I get to talk at conventions, get to actually meet and greet and shake hands with a lot of, the users out there. It's actually a wonderful job. I always make the joke I get paid to goof off with cool technology and tell people what I did, but it's really not a joke. That's a huge part of the job. So really, really happy to be here. As for what's going on at Akash, a lot. If you have any questions on like specific technical things, check out our roadmap we published recently. Just huge amount of stuff. Excuse me, apologies. I've got a bit of a cold here, so if that becomes a thing, I'll mute myself. But yeah, we have a ton of technical stuff that we're actually trying to accomplish. In the Web3 world, we're all kind of trying to figure out how we can actually take on the competition of the Web2 world, which is the AWS's, Azures, and GCPs of the world. And partnerships like Filebase and Akash are really the way we're going to do that and be successful. As Zach said, they do this amazing storage layer. Akash handles compute, and together we can actually become a much more complete solution that can actually stand up to the big players when it comes to functionality and use. So that's kind of my little bit of shilling there. I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pass it back to you, Adam.
Cool. Thanks a lot, Eric. Excuse me. Next up, we have Colin Lowenberg, who I think many on this live stream maybe have seen before in either Twitter Spaces events or on our Discord channel. He's all over the web, which is kind of who he is. So Colin, I would love for you to quickly, for folks that don't know you, introduce yourself and let us know some of the things that you're working on at Akash. Oh, you're muted. I'll unmute you. Okay, go ahead. You should be good now.
Hi, everyone. I'm Colin Lowenberg. I lead partnerships for Akash. I've come from a background of being a wireless engineer, actually, and I got into building APIs and ecosystems. And so I'm really excited to see Akash's ecosystem grow. Each hackathon that we've had has led to some really amazing applications. And a lot of the things that you see in our Discord, under the ecosystem side of our Discord, you'll notice a lot of the projects that are listed there are actually former hackathon projects. So I'm really happy to see Filebase and Akash come together and have a way to provide the decentralized storage from Filebase and the decentralized storage and the decentralized compute from Akash combined together to create a real unstoppable web. And now today, I'm really just constantly trying to promote Web3 and trying to build out our partnerships so that you may see some similarities in different companies out there, but in a way, we're all working towards the same goal of a better internet and the Web3 revolution, which is really coming along just great right now. And so I'm excited to see what the winners have to present to us today.
Cool. Thanks so much, Colin. So before we introduce our winners, I wanted to see if you guys, Zach, Colin, and Eric, could kind of give us a brief recap of some of the key learnings alongside the hackathon. Like, how was participation? How many projects did you see come in? I know it was one of our more successful hackathons that we run at Akash, so snaps to Filebase for that. But yeah, I was wondering if you guys could give us a quick kind of like high level, like how did the hackathon go?
Yeah, so just like you said, snaps to Filebase. They are an awesome partner. They were great throughout every step of this process. Everything we ran, they were just fully on board, making it work. So super props to them. This has been one of the most successful hackathons we've ever done. I don't know if it's technically the most participation we've ever had, but it's definitely like top two. Definitely one of the most involved from a just community and sheer number of submissions standpoint. The follow through on this was incredible. This was actually by far the hardest judging process we had, I think, ever had, to my knowledge. Just the quality of submissions and the quantity was so high that it was a very difficult thing to actually choose winners here. So the projects you're going to see here are some of the coolest projects we've seen actually enter the ecosystem, each with their own merits and their own kind of hooks, but really high quality stuff. And just, congrats to all the winners. Massive props. We really hope to see you guys take these projects into maybe even turning them into businesses. There's actually both the two first place projects, there's actually legitimate business use cases that someone could deploy as an actual full-time job. So
that's a really good point, Eric. And I think as we talked and started to strategize around like what can people do with the power of decentralized storage and compute together, I think that was the resounding ask from everybody and just ourselves is like, let's go find projects that people can actually turn into a real business. As we all know, every single business today is pretty much built on the backs of things like AWS and Azure and GCP. And by harnessing the power of decentralized compute and decentralized storage together in, not only an unstoppable way, but an easily consumable way where people are up and running in less than, minutes, I think that really speaks to the power of the technologies together. From our perspective, because we are a layer 2, we're a multi-cloud provider. Customers come, they sign up in seconds, they get access to persistent storage, which I know is something that Akash obviously has been looking for and needs as a compute provider in general. Compute and storage obviously are the building blocks aside from networking in this data center space. And so realistically, you can do just about anything on Filebase and Akash today. So one of the things you guys will see as you look at these various projects is just how different they are. And that goes to speak to the power of compute and storage together. You can host static images, you can host Chia miners, you can host, just a decentralized Dropbox, just about anything that you want. And as a decentralized storage layer, we help to pass through native primitives, things like Skynet, Skylinks, to give users access to their data in a fully decentralized manner. And obviously, with what Akash is able to do from a compute perspective, we just think that it's really one of the best uses of blockchain is around data. Bitcoin and altcoins are good examples of financial instruments, but The data layer is really something that affects all of us every day, whether you host your resume online or run your website or your business. It impacts all of us in some way every day. And so that's really what we're excited about, is just showcasing some of these projects, what you can do. And we want everybody on this call to go and try it, go build with it and see what you can do with it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Zach and Eric. Colin, before we introduce our guests, I wanted to see, did you have anything else to add? What were you kind of looking for when you're looking through some of the projects that were added to our forum? When you were kind of reviewing the projects, what were some of the things that really got you excited about the kind of the partnership between Filebase and Akash?
Well, I certainly want to see apps that either help grow the Akash ecosystem, right? That can spur further development and attract more developers to our ecosystem. So frameworks and structures and everything must be open source, right? If it's not open source, then what are we really doing here, right? So it's really cool to see the open source versions of these, because you can take what you're going to see today and you can go build upon it. And so I really see this as, we're still in the early days of Web3. So these are the building blocks. At the same time, I really want to see those consumer applications that are attractive to regular everyday users who might not be looking to build and manage their own servers and build and manage their own applications. So it's great to see use cases that are what you call real world use cases, as well as the building blocks. So I like to put them in two buckets there.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Awesome. So with that, I think we have a level playing field. Everyone's very familiar with what the hackathon was about, what we were looking for. At this point, I want to introduce some of the winners. So first up, we have Rodrigo, who actually built a public library for Akash and Filebase, which is pretty cool. So Rodrigo, I'm going to add you to the call. And there he is. Rodrigo, how's it going?
Hey, all. Everything's fine. Thanks for having me here, and it was really fun to be part of this hackathon.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for participating. Yeah, we were really stoked. Rodrigo is a very well-known person inside the Akash community, and I'm sure the Filebase community as well. So thank you so much for participating. Before we get into kind of the demo of your project, I always think it's kind of important to know kind of the background. Like, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about yourself and kind of how you ended up in crypto and how you got to this point.
Sure. Well, I've been a freelancer for over a decade now, working on web development, mobile app development, and online marketing. I'm trying to get more involved now in blockchain tech, Web3, and I found Akash, and that's how I found the hackathon. I was already looking for deploying my own Nextcloud, which I have been using for a long time, and the hackathon just happened to come up at the right time. When I found that I could deploy to Akash and use Filebase to store all the data and information, I thought this is fantastic. I mean, like y'all said, this is the future, the decentralized web, and it's one of the best ways to reduce costs from hosting, and that's why I'm trying everything out here, and it's fantastic technology.
Awesome. Yeah, I love it. You're selling it for us. Like, we could just let you take over this live stream and you just kind of talk about Akash and Filebase. You're killing it. So yeah, thank you for that. Cool. So now I wanted to spend the next few minutes. I'm going to kind of hand it over to you. I'm going to share your screen, and I think the folks listening in would love to actually watch a demo of the project that you actually submitted as a winning project as part of the Filebase and Akash hackathon. So let me share your screen, and the floor is yours.
You should be able to see it right now.
Yes, you're good to go.
Yeah, so this is what I deployed. It's Nextcloud, which is fabulous open source software. You can basically, you have your own cloud. These are basically buckets over in Filebase. Everything is stored there. It's not taking any space in the deployment in Akash. And what I built was I wanted to build a place where anyone can share their books, comic books, documents, and any public library. ideally, well, you can go here, look at the books, and start reading, which is, as you can see, it works perfectly. This is Akash and Filebase and Nextcloud together, and you can go through the files, read, and you have some rules, which we obviously don't want any pornography or any inappropriate materials in here. We have a calendar, which has some different blockchain events that are going to take place soon. Um, this is where you start up all the files, like I said. They're buckets in Fileways, and well, a contact form and a support page if you want to keep this project going. Um, what else can you say? Like I said, Nextcloud and is a fantastic open source software. And what would be a decentralized cloud if you couldn't have a simple platform to host, keep your files and everything? And with the help of Filebase, well, you extend your storage. Yes, you can see over here, each of these buckets has, well, takes up much more space than what this account has in the Akash deployment. And basically, well, you can have tons of storage in the blockchain, and that's what it is.
Awesome, Rodrigo. This is amazing, and I just want to say a couple words on it. So there's kind of two value propositions that I see with this as someone who's living the Web3 life, trying to promote the Web3 life. Having the ability to deploy something like Nextcloud easily, which this project is really a good example of, and would be easily adaptable into. It is huge. It's huge for businesses. It's huge for individuals. I'm really big in the de-Googlify movement. So, trying to host my own services and all of that. This sort of a project is like key to actually allowing alternatives to the big cloud solutions. So there's a really huge value prop here when it comes to the community, when it comes to enterprises who are maybe looking at ways to move their infrastructure off, their internal infrastructure off of a big provider.
Exactly.
The value proposition is huge.
Yeah, that's exactly what I will plan to use this on some personal projects and for personal use and yeah, it's exactly what you're saying. I mean,
I had a question, Rodrigo. Prior to using Filebase and Akash together, did you obviously you it sounds like you have experience deploying on AWS. Did you ever try to deploy on any other networks or decentralized storage directly? And can you speak to maybe how easy that was versus this, just in terms of getting you up and running comparative to either the traditional cloud or just working with networks today?
well, I was actually just using traditional cloud platforms, DigitalOcean, Google, and Amazon.
Yep.
And on my own servers here and at work. And when I found this, I thought it was amazing. Like I said, I was already looking for somewhere to host several Nextcloud instances, and when I saw that it was possible here in Akash and with the help of Fileways to store more data, I thought this is perfect. I mean, like I said, it helps to reduce costs. It works amazingly. It's super easy to deploy. It's super easy to connect Fileways with Nextcloud, and like you all said, Nextcloud gives you many different alternatives to set this up. Like in this case, it's a public library, but companies can use it for different ways. Schools. I mean, there's tons of uses for Nextcloud and Fileways, and together, well, it's even better.
That's the real world applicability that really impressed us in general. I mean, Nextcloud is obviously well known in the enterprise space. And in terms of you're literally dragging and dropping things onto the decentralized web in seconds. And I think that's the power of these two things together, with obviously a good looking front door. But deployment time, performance, price, it's good to hear that those things were all in line with what you were already used to.
Yeah, and like you see, you can even play videos and everything works fine. Don't want to go through all the video, but you can see there it works.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Like I said, the impact something like an easy deploy like this has is potentially almost limitless. It's an entire market
Exactly.
segment that you're actually able to take on with something like this. So huge props, man.
Yeah,
I think
congrats,
the
Rodrigo.
Nextcloud community is gonna also love this because Nextcloud is essentially building a competitor to the cloud giants, right?
Exactly.
It's a way to move away from Google Drive, move away from Microsoft and Google and Amazon. So Nextcloud is something that's existed for a long time, and it's really a mature product, and it's something that I think a lot of large enterprises, a lot of businesses are using. If you were starting a business today, I would recommend Nextcloud on Akash over using Google Drive.
Exactly.
Cool. Thank you so much, Rodrigo. I'm just a quick message in the chat here. Says, "Wow, Rodrigo, amazing job." So, and that's coming from for
Thank
folks
you.
that know Maxime, who is definitely a star in the Akash community. So, again, congratulations, Rodrigo.
Thank you. Thank you.
Stay on the line. I'm going to do a Brady Bunch moment at the end of this, where we bring on all of our guests. But next up, I wanted to introduce Space Potato. So, Rodrigo, thank you. Stay on the line here. Cool. Well, that was awesome. We have another hackathon winner that we're going to be introducing now. For those that might know him, his name is Space Potato. He is also a stud and a star inside of the Akash community. So I want to introduce Space Potato, and there he is. Hey, can you hear me?
Yes. Thanks,
Awesome.
Adam.
For sure. Thank you so much for joining, and congratulations on winning. So yeah, before we kind of get into into your project, I was hoping you could kind of do the same thing that Rodrigo just did, a kind of a brief background, kind of how you ended up in the crypto space and how you got to the point where you're actually deploying projects with Filebase and Akash.
Yeah, so I'm a software engineer for a few years now, and I don't remember how exactly I got into crypto, but it was through Akash. So I think about a year ago, I saw a blog post about the decentralized cloud and the list of companies that are in the space, and Akash is like one of the big ones. I forgot where exactly that blog post was, but that definitely got me interested. And then I realized there was like a test net going on, so I jumped in and like tried to deploy things onto an Akash, and I was blown away by how easy it was to use, even back then when Akash was in its early days. So I was really impressed by the tech. And then I've been following Akash ever since. It's been a year now, and I'm also a validator on Akash now, and I run IBC relayers. So if you use Osmosis, I'm one of the people who's funneling all your packets. So yeah, really cool stuff, and really looking forward to see what Akash and its partners would do in the space.
Cool. Thanks so much. Yeah. So if you have questions about validator network stuff, I think Space Potato is the guy to go to. Awesome. Well, with that, I wanted to introduce your project, which is called dCloud ML. So I'm going to share your screen, and feel free to kind of take the microphone and do a quick demonstration and talk a little bit more about your project.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, so oftentimes AI and machine learning requires a lot of storage and a lot of compute. And so what I find is that it's great that Filebase and Akash respectively provides them at a fraction of the cost of their centralized counterparts. So for this hackathon, I thought it would be cool to build a basic machine learning platform that takes advantage of them both. So I'm going to demo this with an example ML pipeline. So what you see here is the front end of the platform. So on the left side here, you see that there are sections for managing notebooks, models, and keys. So first, to get set up, I'm going to go to the key section. So I'm actually all set up beforehand, but normally what you would do is I would need to create an Akash certificate associated with my wallet so that I can create deployments. And then I need to specify my file-based access keys so that I can access my S3 buckets, and also the name of my workspace bucket, which in this case is the dCloud ML bucket, which I'm going to use to store my models. So in the Filebase dashboard, so I already have an empty bucket called dCloud ML setup, which will be my workspace bucket. And I also have a bucket that contains my training data. So in this example, I have I have the famous image data set. You may have heard of it. It's the handwritten data set, handwritten digits data set called MNIST. So there's a bunch of images with like digits 1 through 0 to 9 that are handwritten. So from here, I'm going to demonstrate how I can use this platform to deploy a Jupyter Notebook environment onto Akash, pull this MNIST data set from Filebase, and then train a handwritten digits classifier model, persist the model to Filebase, and then deploy the model for production use on Akash. So to start, I'm going to create a notebook. So in here, in this view, there's a table with a list of my notebooks that are deployed. I already have one deployed, but if you want to create a new one, you can just click the create button, the create notebook button here. And then we're going to be in this page where I can then fill out this form and create a notebook. So here I'm going to create an MNIST classifier notebook, and then I can password protect this notebook. And then here I can choose a base image. So right now I only have a TensorFlow and Jupyter environment base image set up, but in the future I can also add support for R, a PyTorch, FastAI, and all those images that may be useful for machine learning. So here I'm gonna choose a TensorFlow and Jupyter environment base image, and then here I'm gonna define my resources that I want for my environment. So here I chose 2 units of CPU, 4 gigs of memory, and 10 gigs of storage. And in the future, we're going to be able to, when Akash supports it, we can then specify also how much GPU we want. And that will be very exciting, especially if you're doing deep learning and requires GPUs for fast model training. So then I can then hit deploy notebook. And then this dialog would pop up. And it's a little slow, but basically the idea is this dialog would walk you through how you can deploy the Jupyter environment onto Akash. And I'm going to be paying with my Akash wallet using Kepler. So I'm not actually going to do it here because it might take a little time. Overall, it'll only take like 2 minutes, but just to save time, I already deployed one. So I'm just going to exit out of here. So then I go back to my notebooks page. And then here's my deployment for my notebook, the MNIST classifier notebook. So then I can just hit open, and then I'll be brought to my deployment. So this is deployed on Akash. Give it some time to load. Yeah, so here is the Jupyter Lab environment. So if you've done some data science in the past, you may be familiar with the Jupyter products. So here in this Jupyter Lab environment, you can launch a Python notebooks where you can basically do a bunch of data science work using Python. So here I can just do my normal Python stuff. I can pick a variable. I can execute Python code in this environment basically. So I'm going to exit out here. And so for this demo, I actually have a notebook pre-deployed. So it's my MNIST training notebook. So here it's a notebook where I have code that basically pose. Okay, so let me start from the beginning. So here I have the Boto 3 Python package, which is normally used for interacting with AWS S3 endpoints. So here I'm actually able to plug in the Firebase endpoint and use it just like I would using AWS S's S3 endpoint. So that's pretty cool. So here I have some code that basically interacts with Filebase. So I can download files from Filebase, I can upload the file to Filebase, and I can also upload a trained model to Firebase. Then I have code here that loads the data from Filebase. So which is my MNIST data set that I showed you earlier from my bucket on Filebase. And so I have, so this code here downloads that data from Filebase, and then I load it up. And here are some training examples from my data set. So here are the handwritten digits. So here are just some samples. Then I have code here that builds a very simple convolutional neural network model using the TensorFlow deep learning library. Then I have code here that trains the model for 7 epochs. So I'm not actually going to run the notebook here to save time, but yeah, so here's like the output. So I ran this notebook beforehand. So this is the output of the training. And also here, I have a TensorBoard loaded up. So if you're familiar with TensorFlow, TensorBoard is basically a front end that allows you to monitor the training in real time. So I exposed this TensorBoard at port 6006. So in my deployment, here's the information. This is my deployment URL, and then my 6006 port is exposed externally as port 30,814. So I can actually visit this URL and view my TensorBoard dashboard. Yeah, it's a little slow, but yeah. So this is like here's like a dashboard that you can monitor your training loss over time. So this actually updates in real time as you train. Again, I'm not running this right now. I actually pre-ran this. So this is like the final output that you're seeing. And then I have code here that saves the final trained model. And then I upload that model and persist it onto Filebase. So I've already done that. So in my buckets, just to show you, on my dcloud ML workspace, I have my MList classifier project, and I have my models stored here, right here in Filebase. So the idea is, after I'm done with my machine learning workflow here, training the model and saving the model, I can then close this deployment and still have my model available on Filebase because it's persistently stored. So then after all that, I can then go to my models tab and deploy this model for production use. So what I would do here is I can just put in my project name, the same name I used to create my notebook. And then my model name is MNIST, which matches the directory here. And then I could specify the resources to deploy this model. And again, it's the same dialog you can then use to deploy onto Akash, which is very, very easy. It takes less than 2 minutes, but I've already done it. So, oh, I exited out too quickly. 1 sec. Yes, I've already deployed it, so it's right here. So if in my deployment info tab, you see this is the URL to my model. So this model is exposed as a REST endpoint, and I'm using the Google's TensorFlow serving server to serve this model. So you can see here it is my URL that I can use to access that REST endpoint. So to demonstrate this, I can use curl and make a post request to this endpoint just to show you that it works. So here I use curl, and I'm posting to that URL that you saw before. And this is the REST endpoint on that URL. And I'm making a post request using this matrix right here, which represents the image of the digit 7. So then if I hit run, you see that if I make this post request to my model, I get back predictions. And so at the 6th index, which represents 7, it predicts it with 99% accuracy, with 99% confidence that it's a digit 7 and then close to 0 everywhere else. So then with this model deployed, I can use it in production. And so I can have like a web app consuming this model. So I actually built a web app to demonstrate this. So this web app, what I can do is I can draw a digit. And then when I hit predict, it would basically make a post request to that model that I served on Akash. So if I hit predict, I get back the predictions and it showed that the model predicts as a 2. And then I can do it with other digits, predicts as a 1, 0. So yeah, pretty cool. So just to recap, what I just showed you is I was able to use the platform to go from the raw data set to a final deployed model just by leveraging Filebase for storage and Akash for compute. and we can do a lot of cool machine learning stuff. And especially when GPU supports comes to Akash, this is going to be very, very useful, I feel, for data scientists out there.
Yeah, so really quick, just what I said earlier about, tools that can be turned into a full-on business. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Space Potato really went above and beyond when it comes to building out a fully featured tool. Anyone who's in the AI space, who's used kind of the, I guess, equivalent things that are out there in the Web 2 environments, a lot of times they aren't even this clean. This is amazing. This is an awesome tool. And I just want to encourage you, Space Potato, to go apply for a community grant. Let's see if we can turn this into a full-fledged business for you, because this is going to drive the future of Akash Cloud Network.
Yeah, definitely. I'm very excited.
Cool. Thank you so much, Space Potato. Before we kind of kick it off with the next very brief hackathon participant, I wanted to see if some of the folks in the panel, Colin, Eric, or Zach, if you wanted to kind of bring up anything about this particular project. I mean, there's a lot going on here. It's really, really cool. Just quick thoughts on it.
Just want to echo what everybody said. This is amazing. I mean, I think anybody watching this right now hopefully is a little bit mind blown. And it speaks to just the power of the two solutions together. I was curious, Space Potato, just in terms of kind of similar question asked before. It sounds like you have deployed this previously on AWS. How was that experience compared to this? Did you notice any, I know you said you're waiting on GPUs, but was there anything else that you enjoyed? It seemed like it was a pretty straightforward or similar experience also.
Yeah, I just find it like AWS has a pretty massive learning curve. Whereas I find using Filebase and Akash, I was able to pick it up very quickly. And deploying things takes like less than 2 minutes on Akash. And Filebase is extremely easy to use. The dashboard's amazing. And Filebase works just like AWS 3. I can plug in Filebase endpoints into tools that you would normally use with AWS. So I find that extremely cool.
Awesome, thank you.
Very cool. And I'm just looking at the comment section in the chat here, and our good friend Maxime said Space Science Potato. So maybe you can add that to your screen name repertoire. It's a good one. So
yeah,
cool. All right, with that, I'm going to end that screen share. Thank you so much, Space Potato. We'll bring you back in 1 second, so stay tuned. The last thing that we wanted to kind of mention was we did have a third winner as a part of the hackathon challenge, but unfortunately they couldn't make it this time due to time constraints. They have some other stuff going on, but I did want to give a shout out. Their name is Zijor. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. That's the Discord channel name, and their project was called QRshare.io. Very cool project. Before we move on and bring all of our other guests back, but I wanted to see maybe Colin, Eric, and Zach, if you wanted to kind of briefly talk a little bit about Zijor's QRshare.io project.
Yeah, so for me, this was kind of a nostalgia trip. For anyone who remembers the good old, paste bin days where you'd find, just send someone a link and you could put whatever you needed in that link. This is kind of taking that a step further, integrating QR codes and then decentralizing, which is always a good thing. So, not necessarily as flashy as the other two submissions, but it has practical uses. There's actually a real world reason why tools like this are important. And again, going back to kind of the de-Googleify movement, this is how you do airdrops without having to bend your knee to Apple. So really, really cool project with some cool kind of out of the box applications. Really simple and elegant. And sometimes that's a really good thing too.
Yeah, you can go to the website and in less than 2 seconds have a QR code. So it was just the ease of use and applicability was what impressed us the most. You didn't have to register, download, configure. The whole process took 2 seconds.
Yep. Very cool. Cool. So yeah, if you want to find out more about that final winning project, just go to qrshare.io. You can see it there in the screen. Definitely check it out. Really cool. And yeah, ease of use. I can vouch for that. So thank you so much, Zijor or Zijor, however you'd like to pronounce your screen name. Thank you so much for your submission. Cool. And with that, I wanted to bring back all of our winning guests. So Rodrigo is back in the call and Space Potato's back in the call, and we'll do our little Brady Bunch moment here where we're all on the call. So at this point, I wanted to see if there was any additional questions that you guys, Zach, Eric, and Colin, had for our participants. And then also Rodrigo and Space Potato, I wanted to see if you wanted to kind of add any kind of final thoughts or any additions to kind of what you were building out as a part of the projects. For me, I can kind of kick things off. I would love to know just maybe some key learnings, like what are some interesting things that you guys learned along the way, kind of deploying with Filebase and Akash. So maybe kick it to Rodrigo first.
You have me muted?
No, you're good. We can hear you.
Okay. So yeah, well, first I wasn't too sure how to deploy to Akash, but the documents and their Discord channel and everyone there is super helpful. So after some time, I caught up on it, and once you do it one time, then it's super easy. I learned quite a bit about Docker and obviously Web3, and I mean, like I said, once you know how it works, and well, now there's different tools like Akash Analytics and Akash Lytics and other tools that help people to deploy without having to go to the command line, which is fabulous. And I'm sure they're gonna develop those even more and make it even easier for everyone to host whatever they want over in Akash and take advantage of the decentralized cloud.
Very cool.
Real quick, just one point you said there, where there are these community tools out there that help to deploy. We actually have both of the creators of the top two most used tools are either in the chat or on the call. So the first one, Maxime, is in the chat there, is the person who actually created and maintains Akash Analytics. And then Space Potato, of all people, is the one who created and maintains Akash Deploy. Both are excellent tools. And both are fully community run. So just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I've seen them. I prefer the command line now that I know how to do it. But I can see how they're gonna be great and how they're gonna be helping people to deploy to Akash.
Cool. And yeah, and Space Potato, kind of same question to you. And thank you for that, Rodrigo. What were some of the kind of the key things you learned in kind of creating and building out your project, which by the way is fantastic. So love to hear a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I think I echo the same sentiment as Rodrigo. I find like Akash has a small learning curve. I started out with the command line, but once you do it once, I find it extremely easy to use. And Filebase was just second nature to me. There's like a really nice dashboard. There are access keys, and then with the access keys, you can use a bunch of tools that are already available for interacting with AWS S3, and you can pretty much use the same tools for Filebase. And then like because these two tools are so easy to use and so fundamental, I was able to build something like an entire machine learning platform, essentially using just these two tools. And yeah, so very versatile both of these tools, and very easy to use. So I'm very impressed.
Cool. Thank you so much, Space Potato. I know Zach loves hearing that you enjoyed using the dashboard, right, Zach?
Oh yeah, we put a lot of time into user experience. Now the design team will love that comment. Thank you.
Very cool. Cool. So it looks like we have a few more minutes left for some community questions. So if anyone does have a question, now is your time to ask them. If not, I wanted to open it up to our panelists, Zach, Eric, and Colin. Did you guys have any kind of final thoughts or anything you wanted to quickly cover with our two winning projects?
Yeah. So I keep going first here. I'm sorry if I'm kind of hogging the stage.
It's an open forum. Yeah. Go for it.
So I just wanted to kind of hear from each of you what the future of the project is going to be. Obviously, I voiced some desire for these projects to kind of graduate into more of a full-fledged potentially business or open source contribution that's maintained. Do you guys have any plans for the future? What is that going to look like?
You want to go first, Rodrigo?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I do plan to keep the public library going. Like I said, I usually try to find stuff to read on my free time, and sometimes it's hard to find something interesting. So just gonna keep putting free copyright content in there, and if anyone wants to upload anything, they can. As long as it's not inappropriate, and well, it's free. It's free to use. Anyone can log in. There's a username and password right on the homepage of the library, which right now the domain is, since this was it's still a demo. It doesn't have a domain, but I'll make it public in the forum and in Discord and everywhere. Because I think there's always people looking for some good stuff to read, and like we said, organizations, schools, businesses, anyone could take advantage of Akash, Filebase, and Nextcloud to build different things and save on the cost from other cloud services, and host on the decentralized web and blockchain. This is the future. It's already here.
Well, thanks so much, Rodrigo. Space Fita, how about you?
Yeah. The long-term goal, of course, is to have a machine learning platform that's feature parity with the centralized providers out there, entirely built with Akash and partners like Filebase. Right now, yeah, it's really basic. You can just create a notebook and deploy a model. And then there are some, there's also some work that needs to be go in, like extra security features and maybe some tweaks to the UI. But yeah, that would be the long-term goal.
That's awesome. Well, we'd love to support both of you in the project. Obviously, from a community perspective, we want to continue to see people building on both platforms. Our free storage code, Akash, doesn't expire. So anybody in the community listening, feel free to use that. You get a terabyte of storage. Obviously, the Akash team is very good with handing out AKT for people to deploy. So if there's anything we can do to make this easier, you can go to our docs.filebase.com page. We have a section on Akash as a compute provider. We have a how-to guide. Let us know what we can do. Tell us what else you want to see in these combined platforms together, and I'm sure we'll make it a near-term reality.
Cool.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you guys so much. So I think with that, we might actually be able to wrap things up. So I wanted to take the next couple minutes here just to kind of see if there was any updates in terms of Akash and Filebase that you guys would like to share. Any upcoming events that you're excited about, any projects or promotions, maybe starting with you, Zach. Is there anything you'd like the folks listening in to kind of know about what's going on at Filebase?
Sure. We're busy planning for 2022. It's obviously end of year coming up on Thanksgiving here in the US, holidays very soon. We have some exciting announcements as we head towards the end of the year, some additional performance improvements. Specifically, we're always trying to make things as fast as Amazon. As I'm sure you can imagine, it's hard to build a cloud. The Akash team knows that very well. But we've been deploying. Keep out an eye on our blog, filebase.com/blog. We always have announcements there. We're working on some community things. We did obviously just finish this hackathon with Akash. We'll probably be doing some more shortly. We are going to be launching our Discord soon, so keep an eye out for that. Excited to have our community have a place to communicate. It's been good seeing all the activity in the Akash forum and Discord also. But yeah, just excited for next year. We're scaling and ramping the team. We are hiring. If anybody wants to go help build the next decentralized storage provider, feel free to reach out to us. And yeah, we'll look forward to doing more of these with you guys soon.
Cool. Thanks, Zach. Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, so we definitely have some stuff going on. There is a hackathon that we're running. We're going to be running, let's see, is it live right now? I'll actually have to double check, but there's a lot of really cool stuff going on in the area of development. Our testnet is not up yet, but stay tuned. There will be a lot of announcements coming around about that in the very near future. Kind of the biggest thing for any crypto project is a testnet running, and we want to make sure that we can get as much value out of network improvements and stuff as possible. So definitely stay tuned on that. Other than that, I think we're pretty much buckling down to try and get stuff done here before the holidays. Got like three work days before things really kick off there. But it should be a really good end of year, going strong into 2022. We're very excited to see where this next year is going to take just the Web3 ecosystem. Some amazing stuff is coming down the road.
Very cool. Cool. All right. And I guess the last thing that I'll mention is next week, we're going to be hosting our first ever developer relations office hours. Eric will be on that call. The idea behind the developer relations office hours is it's a short opportunity for developers that have technical questions or kind of want to get updates on what's happening from an engineering standpoint at Akash to kind of get your questions answered and asked in a live forum such as this. So we're planning on doing those monthly. We were going to do one a couple days ago. Technical difficulties, don't get me started. We'll maybe cover that in that call. So stay tuned. You can actually go to our Twitter page. I believe it's just Akash.net. And I can put it up here for folks that want to follow along. That's where you can get a lot of updates on what's happening here at Akash. And then in addition to that, it's something we talked about briefly before we kicked off today's call. We do have a program for a lot of our community members called the Akash Insiders Program. It's a community of influencers inside of the Akash network and the greater crypto space. If you're interested in learning more about that and becoming one of the leaders inside of the Akash community, just check out our page to learn more. Just go to akash.network and click on community. You can learn more about the Insiders program. But yeah, as everyone else said, I think we're kind of just wrapping up for the end of the year and the holidays. Lots of exciting things planned for 2022 on Filebase's side and Akash's side. I think we're all looking forward to seeing Rodrigo and Space Potato build out their awesome projects. You guys kill it. We're all super appreciative of that. So with that, I'm going to do one final Brady Bunch moment. I want to thank you guys all for joining this. This was a great event. We're hoping to do more of these in the future. If you have any feedback or questions or comments, you can always check out our Discord page. You can get access to it just by going to akash.network, and you can join our Discord and kind of start chatting with the community there. But with that, I want to thank everyone for joining. Thanks again, Space Potato and Rodrigo, for your awesome projects. And of course, Zijor with the qrshare.io. And then other than that, any final thoughts before we wrap things up, guys?
Happy Friday, everybody. Hope you guys can test these two solutions together.
Absolutely. Yeah. Cool. All right, guys. With that, we're going to wrap it up. Have a great weekend. Happy holidays for those celebrating, and stay tuned. We'll see you at the next one. See you guys.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye, everyone.